coming along, learning the defensive principles?
He's doing great. We had a great film session today. His voice was heard participating. So I think he's doing an incredible job on not just the defensive end, but overall, trying to fit in, trying to, understand what we're trying to do on both ends of the ball. So I would say he's doing really, really good.
When a new player comes in, is it easier to learn offense than defense?
It's always easy to learn offense because you just one-on-one. You don't have to run a play. Defense, especially when it's team defense, in this league, if you play team defense, it gives your team an opportunity to get stops. We're not asking Steve Wood to play one-on-one. Just understanding the help position and just the responsibility or the principles of what he is responsible for on certain plays.
Management picked up the option year on Josh this morning, I guess. What areas this year do you want to see growth from him in particular?
Yeah, I think it's great that we picked up the option. I think this summer he did everything we asked him to do, and early here in camp he looks great. So I'm happy that we picked up the option now for him to continue to build on what he's been doing. And we're working with him a little bit more on bringing the ball up and getting us into the offense. So we'll see how he will digest that part of the game. But we need him to be Josh. We need his energy. He's the guy who comes up with all the 50-50 balls. So we need him to continue in those areas. But I think the biggest part is seeing if he can put us in a position to be successful when we call a play.
When he was drafted, I think there was at least some people thought of him as a 3-and-D prospect. But it seems like that's not necessarily his calling anymore.
No, I don't mind him being 3-and-D as long as he can also. I think when we look at the value, 3-and-D can get you paid, at a certain level. But if you're able to, bring the ball up and set the table, that will probably double your pay. And so when you look at just being a 3-and-D, I think his abilities are a little bit more than just 3-and-D. He's one of our best passers on the team, and so why not put him in a position to be successful with that?
Jason, with Luka, I feel like year 5 is kind of a natural benchmark for people to kind of be like, oh, it's his 5th year, how does this compare? Does year 5 or does that kind of benchmark have any sort of significance, like when you're playing in terms of when things might start to slow down or when you can kind of like evaluate approaching your prime or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's year 5. I mean, that's a great number and all, but things slow down. For Luka, I don't think they're going to go faster. I think the way he's playing is always going to be in the MVP conversation, and I think he will be in that conversation the whole year this year. But that's a great question. Did you ask him that question? If year 5?
He didn't seem super talkative.
It's hard practice.
Yeah. Enthusiasm.
That's right. As it was out on the court. I think when you look at, I think he will understand the league better. I think with his talent, he's always gonna make his teammates better. He can score the ball. He's, if not the best player in the world. So I don't know if year 5 is a benchmark, but that is a good question to see. Maybe I can ask him as we go here how he sees things differently in year 5. And it could be where things are a little bit clearer. HD, is brighter, where he can see things a lot better and understand, what teams are trying to do.
Do you think it also goes towards just kind of settling in personally in terms of, especially for him, like a new culture, a new place, like a new environment in general?
Yeah, I think we sometimes take that for granted. A foreign player, international player coming has to get settled. We always just judge them on points or what they do on the floor, but there are families involved in this, some animals, whatever it may be, to get well, if we're talking about Luka, a couple dogs to get settled, and sometimes there is being homesick, And I think maybe year 5 you might have that turn where you're not as homesick and you're excited about the season, and so maybe year 5 is the year that he feels comfortable coming back and doesn't have that homesickness.
Coach, you were part of the community that in the bubble that was able to speak to President Obama about some of the things that you guys wanted in the bubble. Can you describe that experience?
It was incredible to hear him on the phone. First of all, for Chris Paul to be able to call, that was pretty unique. That's a heck of a Rolodex to have that person's number in your phone. I think LeBron even said that he didn't even have that number in his phone. So it was something that it was impressive, but it was really cool to hear President Obama's his remarks of how to handle certain things. And I thought LeBron and CP and Westbrook and Melo and those guys that were in that meeting did a really good job of making sure, one, they kept playing basketball, but two, being able to have the world hear their message.
Coach, I know every season and team is different, but just from your perspective on the championship teams you were a part of in the preseason, how would you compare this squad in terms of readiness and potential?
Yeah, I think we're ready. It's this preseason, so until that first game in Phoenix, we'll find out who we are and what we have to work on. But I think we have a great group of young men that get along, that all have the same goal in mind, and that's to win. And we talked about that this morning, and so we'll build on that. And I think we're excited about this upcoming season.
And just going off that, Jalen Brunson, with the exception of him, you'll basically have the same roster. How important is that to you as a coach to have the same familiarity of those players? Continuity
is key, is big in sports or in life, and but I think this is a different team, and so if you ask the players, we don't really talk about last year. That was last year. This is a different team, different challenges, and so we're excited with what's in front of us, and we understand what the challenges are. But again, we'll see. I've always said around Christmas, you kind of know who you are, so hopefully we'll have that answer before Christmas Day game, that we know who we are.
Did you ever correct President Obama about your jump shooting?
No.
Because he told Luka not to listen to you about shooting, but you were a good shooter by the end of your career.
Yeah, I would never correct the president. But when he did leave, when me and Luka were sitting at the table in Chicago, I did tell him I could shoot.
Okay.
But I didn't yell at where President Obama could hear me. I whispered to Luka.
Oh, to Luka. Okay.
And we were doing craft and arts.
Bookmarks,
and yeah, bookmarks. We were making bookmarks, and I was with a crayon saying I can't shoot. I might have wrote it on there and passed it to Luka.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that.
You got it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Media availability tomorrow will be at the arena.